Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and kick this off. Ask me anything for Lynchpin for February 29th, 2024. So I guess that means it's a leap year, right? Okay, I got all the questions called up, got my answers ready, and there's a fair amount of questions. So I'll try to get through this so that we actually get through all of them. So, kind of like the title says, the first one is about Achilles pain. So this is from Dana HC. I can do double unders, but my form and efficiency would make Quasimodo look graceful. I tend to suffer soreness in my Achilles tendons for many days afterwards. I can do loads of single unders without soreness. So when double unders are programmed in quantities like 300, my default is to do singles and double the number of repetitions and comment on the comparative effectiveness of the two approaches. Okay, so first of all, it's very interesting that you can literally do double the amount of you'll double the number and do single unders, and that treats you just fine. So obviously, I believe you. What you might be able to do is a mixture of the two. I don't know if you know at exactly what volume of double unders pain starts to set in for you, but maybe if there was 5 rounds in a workout, each workout had 50 double unders, instead of based on what you said, you would double it and do single unders. Instead of doing 100 single unders per round, maybe you could do 25 double unders and 25 single unders and do that for the 5 rounds and get a mixture of the two. I'm not sure where that breaking point is that feels good or bad on your Achilles. What also, as far as general physical preparedness and fitness, yes, the double under is a bit more of a technically complicated movement or requires a bit more coordination, accuracy, agility, and balance and neurological skills. But as far as lifelong fitness on planet Earth, you're jumping rope either way. That's more complicated than just sitting on a piece of Nautilus machinery and working out that way. You're fine for regular fitness, utterly and completely, totally fine. So don't let that bother you at all. Just you have to deal with something silly if like, oh, there were double unders in the open, and I didn't know how to do them, and that hurt my score. Whoop-de-doo. Talking about real life, you're jumping rope, you're good to go. I also put down for you, and I put a link to this in your link to your comment in the Facebook group, that I made a video a long time ago to how to alleviate Achilles tendon pain. So you can go to the CrossFit Lynchpin YouTube channel, click on the playlist entitled Lynchpin Instructional Videos, and then the name of the video, not the best name, it's 10.15.2019, because I guess obviously I recorded it on October 15th, 2019. Achilles tendon pain. So that if you check that out on that playlist, and that was based upon, I'm not a physician. I'm not claiming that I can just magically cure people's pain, but this was a conversation I had with a physician, Dr. Julie Fouché, who's also, very well-known CrossFitter, and this was what she had learned to deal with Achilles tendon pain and give some relief. So hopefully that helps you out. Okay, let's see. Next question from Michael G. How should someone determine when it's time to add in a VNR, which stands for Very Not Random, which is the podcast I do with Bosman? How should someone determine when it's time to add in a VNR capacity program? For example, my 1 rep max deadlift is significantly above my 1 rep max back squat, and my bench press is also more than my back squat. I know you said previously that consistently following Lynchpin programming will drive results, and it definitely has. But I'm just wondering when it makes sense to target a certain area of deficiency, and hope your daughter is doing well. Thank you for the warm wishes on my daughter. She is doing better. So, Very Not Random has a ton of programs. I think there's like about 20. Get your first pull-up, strict pull-up, first strict ring dip, handstand walking. There's barbell capacity programs for deadlift, back squat, clean and jerk, snatch, you name it. Now, kind of like I say, is if you just do follow Lynchpin, it's the most principle. For most people, under most circumstances, most of the time, you're going to get ferociously fit, fast, and strong. However, there are some select individuals that, let's be honest, don't fall under the most. And for what you're describing there, you have accurately identified an area of your fitness that would benefit from some extra attention. That's cool. That's honest and that's real. So based upon the situation that you described, I think the 1 rep max back squat or the back squat capacity program from Very Not Random would probably serve you really well. And so, now I'm assuming also that you've made this decision after not 1 month, right? So if after a month you're like, hey, I came in with a back squat that was significantly less, and I wanted to put 200 pounds on it in 1 month. Well, that's not realistic. But if after 6 months of dedicated and following the programming, scaling as needed, modulating your intensity, deadlift's doing great, this is going great, and for you individually, you have identified this one area that still could use some extra attention, that's a well-informed, smart decision. And in that case, that VNR cycle probably treats you really well. And there's a bunch of people in Lynchpin that have used a variety of the Very Not Random cycles. And so also feel free to post either in the private Facebook group or in the squads feature, hey, who's used this? How did you work it into your training cycles? Did you do it before? Did you do it after? And you'll get real world answers from people that have done it. That should be very helpful as well. Okay, let's see. Carl N. Has there been, or will there be an opportunity for the Lynchpin community to come together in person to do the workouts? Not necessarily for a competition, but just in-person training and fellowship. Awesome, my friend. So yes, people have been doing that on their own and been doing it. Actually, they post about it every now and then in the Facebook group. People just did that recently, linking up together, which is awesome. I can tell you historically, usually where a bunch of Lynchpin members get together every year is at the Rogue Invitational, which has been in Texas, but as we all know, is moving this year to Scotland. I meet more Lynchpinners there every year than anywhere else, and it's absolutely fantastic. And they get together, they hang out, they eat good food, and they watch the competition, they work out, and that's kind of just been a thing. Now, Carl, you posted this in the BTWB squads feature for Lynchpin. So go back in and check that thread, please, because I tried to tag you in my answer to you in that thread, but it wouldn't let me tag you for some reason. But there's an individual by the name of Justin, and he has taken the lead on setting up an actual in-person Lynchpin meetup for this year. And it's going to take place in June, and it's going to take place in New York City. And so you can connect with him, and maybe the two of you together can also brainstorm. And the community is running itself, and future meetups are happening. So check that. I tagged Justin as well, so you can link up with him. And yeah, we plan on getting together in June in New York, which would be pretty cool. Okay. Let's see. In the Facebook group here, from Ryan K, which workouts would you choose to test one's fitness over the course of a week? So basically like doing a testing week, testing all modalities of fitness in 1 week. For example, Monday, CrossFit Total, Tuesday, 5K, et cetera. This, for as much as I care about programming, I would have to sit down for a fair period of time if you're asking me for my absolute no kidding best and give you that answer. So I don't have the top 5 off the top of my head, but I can tell you the general principles that I would want to be covered are the things which, if you've been around for a while and listening to Lynchpin Conversations, you probably know. We need to make sure that we hit time domains from short, medium to long, loadings from light to heavy. We'd need to pull from the ground. We need to go overhead. We need to have upper body pulling as well. We need to make sure that we're covering our monostructural engine capacity also. There should be single modality, there'd be mixed modality. So there's a lot going on there, which is tough to say. Like, you could choose 5 good workouts. That's for sure. You really could. But there's also a chance that in those 5, there's probably something left out, which is why more is always better, which is why, over the course of the year, we do so many workouts covering such a broad range of fitness that is the most effective test, because you're going to be doing all of those things that I just mentioned, all the loadings, all the time domains, all the gross movement patterns. There's going to be Olympic lifting. There's going to be powerlifting. There's going to be dumbbell work. There's going to be kettlebell work. There's going to be rowing. There's going to be running. There's going to be biking. There's going to be rope climbing. There's going to be ring muscle ups. I mean, all of that in 1 week is a lot. So you get a good general sense, but if you're talking about a real breadth and depth of fitness, more spread out over some time is always a bit better. But I would cover those major principles. Jennifer L, is it bad to mix around the workouts every week, or should I do my best to do them in order? Short answer, do your best to do them in order. That will yield the best results for you, because they are absolutely intentionally laid out in a specific order. based upon all those things that I just mentioned for Ryan's question: time domains, gross movement patterns, loadings. And if you rearrange the order, you might go below parallel 3 days in a row. We don't want that. You might have heavy overhead a couple days in a row. We don't want that. You might there just will be things that may interfere that very intentionally were separated to allow the athlete to stress one part of the system, give it a few days to lay off, stress it again. And if the order gets mixed up, you might not have that beautiful cadence anymore. The other side of that coin is life doesn't care how much time, thought, and effort I put into laying out the schedule. So if you've got stuff going on in your life that like, hey, it's now or never. I know this isn't exactly how Pat laid it out. I got to do this workout today. Well, then there's your answer. Life has provided you that this is just what you got to do. If you only, I don't know, let's say that the heavy day was going to come later in the week. You don't have the opportunity to back squat heavy wherever you are. You're at your office, on a military base, wherever you work, and you have access to a great squat rack and barbells, and you're like, I can squat today or not squat at all this week, then by all means squat. So there's absolutely intentionality and an optimum way to do the workouts, which is how they're laid out. And then there's real life, and you try to make those two coexist. Let's see. Andrew C. I've been a member of Lynchpin for almost a year, and something I noticed the other day is since following the programming, I haven't seen a lot of AMRAPs. I see a lot of 2159s, chippers, rounds for time, etc., but not a lot of AMRAPs that I'm used to seeing. The closest thing I remember is the 45-minute AMRAP for our going long workout of the week. Any particular thoughts or methods behind this? So you'll see an AMRAP in the classics like Nate, most certainly. We do every now and then as an AMRAP. Cindy, workout which I love, is an AMRAP, and that will be. But if you're talking generally speaking, okay, for most people, under most circumstances, most of the time, what's a more effective, and I'm even going to say better training tool? Task priority or time priority. And task priority is for time workouts, 2159. There's a set amount of work, and you have to get it done. Whether it takes you a short, medium, or long time, you can't stop until the work is done. Then there's time priority, which is like Cindy, which doesn't matter if you get 1 round of Cindy or 30 rounds of Cindy. It's 20 minutes. Between those two, what's better, in my humble opinion? Task priority every single day of the week. If I could only program one style for the rest of my life to get people astonishingly fit, it would be task priority workouts. You can mail in an AMRAP. You can just mail it in. You can do Cindy and whoop-de-doo, just not even try that hard. And once 20 minutes is over, it's over. But if I tell you that you have to do 15 rounds of Cindy, you can't leave until the work is done. So I'm laying out a strength and conditioning session. If there's, a certain number of repetitions overall by the end of the workout, I want the athlete to get in. How many times they've touched this to go overhead? How many times they've pulled from the ground? And I set the work for them. This is the work I want your body to be exposed to. If I set that up in an AMRAP style, it might not happen. You might get way less or way more and then totally mess it up. Now, there's benefits to both for sure, but task priority in my mind is supremely better for most circumstances. And that's why we do it most of the time. Then, of course, there's scaling options given to that. There's the wild card. There's the daily video to explain, hey, this is the stimulus we're looking to achieve. If you need to tweak it here or there so that it fits your needs, and then there's some time domains given, great. But between the two, task priority, easy day. And it's funny, the most recent episode of Varied Not Random that just got posted on Tuesday, where I kind of played CrossFit 20 questions with Adrian. And one of the 20 questions was, you can only do task priority or time priority for the rest of your life. Which one do you choose? And, he's like, oh man, but he hemmed and hawed a bit. He's like, and he even said something along the lines of, man, I want to say time priority, which is like Cindy. He's like, because you can kind of check out and it's a little easier. He's like, but the right answer is like time priority if you're really trying to get fit. Absolutely, 100%. Okay, let's see. Sean S. Not sure the question has been answered in the past. My question is thoughts on working out with little sleep. Welcome to my world more frequently than I wish that was the case. So this kind of relates a little bit to Jennifer's question earlier about mixing up the workouts and is there an ideal order? And one of my parts to her question was there's the right answer and then there's real life. Obviously, the right answer is nutrition's on point. Stress levels in your relationship and work are low. You smile a lot more than you frown. You get some fantastic sleep. Then you work out. Well, there's that. And then there's real life and responsibilities and whether or not you have kids and you got 2 jobs and you're running around and whatever happened, you didn't sleep well. And how frequently does that happen? And, so if you can live in the ideal world, fantastic. But is working out on poor sleep ideal? No, far from it. Far from it. And there's probably this very professional answer that would say that you shouldn't do it. Okay. I mean, I've been in long phases of my life with poor sleep, from raising kids to the military and all that. And I can't imagine if I just didn't work out for that whole period of time. That to me almost seems, I don't want to say worse, but equally bad. But what you can do is it depends. Do you have one bad night of sleep, several days, a week, more than a week? You can modulating your intensity and scaling workouts is such a great way to do it. So I thought I was going to tear the head off this workout today. I got poor sleep the night before. Maybe it becomes, instead of a high intensity day, it's a moderate day. It's a conversational pace. It's a move around. It's a light sweat. It's taking more breaks than I wanted to. I feel good that I moved and I didn't stress my system, which is weak from not getting sleep. So there's a lot of ways that you can do that. It's not ideal, but life certainly makes you do that every now and then. And I will say personally, as I've mentioned before, there's 2 parts as to why I work out. Well, there's a lot of parts as to why I work out. But one is just the classic physical strength and conditioning aspects of what I want from my body and my capacity long term. But then I also work out to manage my stress levels between the ears. It's a really big part of what helps keep me sane and hopefully happy. And even after a bad night's sleep, I need to move my body for my mind, if that makes sense. And so even if I sleep poorly personally, I'm going to get something in because it's good for my mind, even if my body's a little bit tired, but I'll modify it in a way that makes sense for me. So hopefully that helps. Adrian S. Of all of them, what has been your favorite top 5 open workouts? Man, I couldn't even tell you that I remember 5 of them, to be honest with you. And in my mind, the open workouts are just, I don't want to say there's nothing special about them, but they're only special because people chose to make them special. They're associated with the competition. You just had to push really hard that day in the gym, and all of a sudden it stings more than it would because you've made it important in your mind. And you could do that on any workout, any day, if you could flip that switch. So they don't really stick in my mind that much, but I will say that I liked the 7 minutes of burpees. I'm not saying that I crushed it or did well, but I liked it just because it was so absolutely simple. And like so many other things, all you needed to do was to press the accelerator all the way to the ground with a high level of intensity. And it was just a fireball of a workout. Well, done moderately, it's a moderate workout. So the 7 minutes of burpees, I think, was cool. That one I liked. Let's see. Nikos, first of all, how is Lane? Thank you. She's good. Yeah, my daughter was in the emergency room twice last couple weeks with some rough stuff. And she's not fully out of the woods. She's still dealing with some stuff, but she is way better than she was and on the mend. And the worldwide Lynchpin community, I mean, just many thanks for the warm wishes and the care. It's deeply appreciated. So, are we all okay? Yeah, we're hanging in there. It's a sick child. It's not fun. But thank you. If you had to run a gym, would you modify your programming to the time requirements of a 1-hour class? Overwhelmingly, that shouldn't be an issue at all. Every single day when we walk in and do the workout in my garage, I'm in and out of there in an hour. the 99.9% of the time, to be quite honest with you. It's a very, very, very rare day that, as long as I'm not just messing around, that I can't get in and out in an hour. And that's exactly what's happening in a class setting. So the vast majority of the time, nothing would have to be modified in any way, shape, or form. And for the, there's the individual track for Lynchpin, and then there's the Lynchpin private track for gym owners. And so there's gyms all around the world doing exactly, what I just said there, Lynchpin in their gyms every day, with the warm up, with a cool down, with coach's notes, with all that good stuff. John D. Question on rep scheme scaling. For example, recently there was an ascending rep scheme that we just did for the squat, clean, thruster, and the bar muscle up of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the reps went up. If you add it up, each movement, there was 30 repetitions. Is there a big difference in doing the reps as prescribed, such as ascending right there, versus something like the orders reversed, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, descending, or 6 rounds of 5, or 5 rounds of 6? Excellent question. So if you'll notice, again, the most, for most, what works for most people under most circumstances, most of the time, it's going to be what allows the athlete to keep moving, to minimize breaks, to maximize intensity. That's an oversimplification, so please give me the grace on that. So for a lot of the time, a descending rep scheme works really well. So you'll see it very frequently. You'll also see, like you just said, you might have 5 rounds of 6 reps of each movement, and then it still comes out to 30, right? But it's reps of 6, quite manageable. You'll notice that an ascending rep scheme is probably what occurs the least frequently. And that's because as the workout goes on, you're just getting fatigued. Makes sense, right? And now as the workout goes on, you're not only getting fatigued, but the reps are increasing. So you're faced with more work as you get more fatigued. And so it's probably going to cause most people to go a little bit slower and to need more rest than had that workout been written as a descending rep scheme. But for variance, for life, again, we're not training for a fitness competition, like we're training for life. And that's not just empty words. That's real. Whether you're just a mom or dad, just a regular person walking to the office each day, you're an accountant, or you're a military, police officer, first responder, there could be things in life where you have to do some sort of physical task. And as a matter of fact, as the time clicks on, you're faced with more work, not less, and you have to do more work while you're tired. And so there's benefit in exposing ourselves to that every now and then. If every workout had an ascending rep range, I don't believe people would get as fit, because overall, as the days, weeks, and months went by, you would be not giving people as much of an opportunity to regularly express intensity and push themselves, had it been with a descending rep scheme or a multi-round workout that had manageable, useful repetition range. But every now and then, super helpful and profoundly helpful. Chris D, let's see. Christy, not sure if this has been asked before. Have you ever considered wrapping up a year with a week of testing across most typical CrossFit exercises plus running? That is similar to the first question, which was choosing a week. Ryan K's question, which we started off with, about choosing a week to test one's fitness. Would Monday be a CrossFit Total, then the 5K, et cetera, et cetera. So, why I don't specifically program a testing week is, first of all, I don't like it. It's probably the most honest answer. As number two, it's not going to work out for everybody. Again, based upon where you are in life, your sleep, the whole 9 yards. Just have a newborn, like this is the 1 week that's going to define whether or not everything you did is worthwhile. Probably not going to work for any decent sized group of people. What will work is what we do all the time. So there's 5 workouts a week, 52 weeks a year. What is that? Why is my brain right now not working? 5 times 52. So there's 260 training sessions, workouts over the course of the year. 260 opportunities to test yourself, 260 versus 5 days to cover everything that we need to do, from going super short, like we did 50-meter dashes the other day, to a little bit short, to moderate, to long. And is long a 400-meter dash or an 800-meter dash? We've done those too. Or a 1 mile run. We've done 3 1 mile repeats. Or a 5K run. We've done that. Or a 10K run. We've done that too. I can't cram all that into a week of testing. And then burpees. Are they going to be bar-facing burpees? Burpees over a box? Are we going to have a weight vest on? Are we going to do rope climbs? Are we going to do L-sits? Are we going to do, like, now when I have 260 training sessions over the course of the year, and then an educated population, which is what Linchpin is, and they understand the difference between training and testing, modulating intensity, they can, over the course of the year, cover every single solitary base, and it's all logged in BTWB forever and ever and ever, and easily accessed. And then when they repeat, you see this time 7x1 deadlift compared to the last one. This one's 5K compared to the last one. How many rounds of sin do you got this time compared to the last one? And you get constant, consistent, like meaningful progress along the way. And in my mind, I mean, that is 10x better and actually more effective and more real than this is the 1 week we're going to test and see if everything's going in the right direction. That's kind of my thoughts on that. Brian T. For sprint days like this Tuesday, what's the best, easiest way to time those? I wear an Apple Watch to track my workouts, so I just start each interval on a new whole minute and tried my best to read the time. Been there. I understand that. Plus elapsed time when I hit the distance mark. But I found this to be inaccurate and clumsy. Couldn't agree more. Done that the same. And then John D chimed in and said, would you believe that I actually run with a stopwatch in my hand? Like, imagine like an old school, like, rope around the neck, digital these days, not analog, but digital stopwatch. And then, you just got to hit your thumb, right? You hit your thumb again, it stops it. That's a fantastic way to do those sprints. Those stopwatches are very inexpensive. You just keep it in your hand and kind of have your hands in the right position to run anyway. And you just need to move your thumb twice. Once when you start, once when you stop. And you will get an accurate, detailed, down to the millisecond time. That's a great way to do it. I know plenty of people are trying to do it like you're doing it there, and it is a bit clumsy. I've ran with my iPhone in my hand and all that stuff, and it doesn't work that great. That I actually think what John D just said there about the old school stopwatch in the hand, as funny and archaic as that sounds, works really well. And I'd be curious to hear, post down in the comments what other people are using that works well. Let's see. Dave D. Firstly, I hope the family is well and Lane is feeling better. Thank you once again. With Rogue announcing that the Invitational will be held in Scotland later this year, does this mean we might have a visit from yourself to the UK? If so, would you be interested in a Lynchpin meetup? So, I don't know if I will be invited again or asked again to work at the Invitational. Be cool. Hope so. I hope that happens. And so I can't say yes or no whether or not I'll be there yet, because I haven't heard anything official, and it's quite a ways away. So I don't know when, those decisions will be made. But it'd be really cool. I've never been to Scotland, and the Invitational is awesome. Would you be interested in a Lynchpin meetup? Very much so. And it would probably be, I know there's already Lynchpinners chatting about the Europe crew is very excited, and even people from other countries thinking about, well, maybe I'll fly over and make it a big trip. So I think there's going to be a very decent Lynchpin showing in Scotland this year for the Invitational. And, it's funny. Well, here's what I can say about the meetup. As much as I can, I guess that's the greatest way to say it. It's going to be a good flight for me, coming all the way from the West Coast of the US all the way over there. And I got 3 kids that I'm leaving behind here and all my family duties. And my wife very much wants to travel the world, and she heard that, it's going to be in Scotland. And I was like, maybe you could come over with me. And she knows the deal, which I don't think most people do, which is when I do the Rogue Invitational and whatnot, it is a first thing in the morning to really late at night, nonstop hustle. I mean, it is work. that Emily knows the deal, where she's like, yeah, I could come over to Scotland with you for the Invitational, but she's like, who's kidding who? I should probably bring a friend because I won't see you. And her point was she knows how much work it is. So even though her and I would be in the same country for the Invitational, she would never see me because it is early mornings and long days to do the media side of the house for an event like that. But like I've done in Texas and all that during the Invitational, at the little breaks between filming and whatnot, people show up there at the desk, we say hello, snap a bunch of photos. It's super, super cool. And I know maybe I'd have an extra travel day on the beginning or the end. I'm not sure because it's an international flight. So maybe there'd be some more flexibility. So I don't have a good answer for it yet, but I'm absolutely interested and it sounds totally awesome. And I hope that the Lynchpin community shows up in force to Scotland. Okay. Marius M. I just signed up for the CrossFit Level 1. How do I best prepare for it? You don't need to. Any tips on how to start a part-time coaching career after that? So, how to best prepare for the L1. So I was being a bit silly there, but truth be told, you could show up to the Level 1 as your first exposure, taking all the knowledge or whatnot. Now, if there's still a test at the end, or I don't know if there's a test at the end or a test at home or not, but like you may have to do a bit of studying for that. But they present all the knowledge to you there. You should receive some sort of electronic, I would assume, handbook or guide before you show up. And so the best thing that you could do is just make your way through that material. Read it once or twice, scratch some notes or questions that you have somewhere, so that once you show up to the Level 1, if there's anything in that material that didn't sit well with you or was a bit unclear or whatever it happened to be, you could ask people in real time and get real answers there, which would be great. And other than that, just have a good attitude, go there and have fun. Any tips on how to start part-time coaching after that? Depending upon where you live, one of the best things that you could do is just, if you know the local gyms in your area and there's some that you like the vibe of, because each one's an independent business. Each gym has the same culture, the same feel, the same priorities, the same whatever it is. Try to find the one that you think you're going to jive really well with that culture. And most gyms are looking for qualified coaches to help out, and they probably have a way to on-ramp new coaches. Go there and shadow somebody or whatnot. But identify the gyms in your area that you like what they got going on, you like the culture, you like the vibe, reach out to them, be totally transparent and honest. Brand new coach. I have been doing CrossFit for this long. I'm very familiar with it and the methodology, but I'm a new coach. I'd like to get, dip my toe in the water, and what do you have available for me? And I bet they'll give you some really great responses, but that's cool. And good luck to you. Jim L. I have a coworker who expressed to me recently that he had a desire to get in better shape. And so I invited him to come over and work out with me in my garage following the Lynchpin program. Very cool. I'm wondering what's the best way to introduce someone to CrossFit. Deep end of the pool. A lot of loading, a lot of intensity, 2 or 3 sessions a day. Obviously not true. Joking right there. Less is more. Depending upon what their level is, if they're deconditioned, if they work out in the past. I mean, for somebody that hasn't worked out in a while, you might be shocked at how much a small exposure to functional movements with just a minimal dosing of intensity could wreck somebody. We're not looking to do that. So scale the loading, scale the reps, slow down the pace. Those are all great ways to start right there. And your goal would be with somebody to have them show up the next day, for example. When you ask them how they feel, they should say that they feel good, that they don't feel wrecked, they don't feel beat up. You should, ideally, they would say to you, I feel really good. As a matter of fact, like, you could have given me a bit more, man. You could have dosed me up a bit more. That's cool. That's where you want to hear. You don't want to hear, I feel like a train hit me. And so then from there, you can just gradually and slowly build. But, less is more for sure. And simple movements, squatting and deadlifting compared to, push jerks and squat snatches and things like that. But they can most certainly, even as a newer athlete, learn those more complicated movements with just an empty barbell or a PVC pipe, because they're just, reps and practice and reps and practice. And so you can start to get those in and build those good movement patterns. Kevin B. Okay, Kev, You stumped me with this. I had never heard of this before in my life. And as I sipped my coffee this morning, I had to Google what this was. Have you or anyone you know used grounding sheets or grounding mats to help with sleep, or just overall thoughts and experience with grounding or earthing? I had no clue what that was. And so, to answer your question, have I or anyone I know used them? No, sir, they have not. I'm going to mess up what it was, but when I looked it up, it's basically this theory or hypothesis that your skin touching the earth, or I'm going to mess it up, like the electrons that the earth put out, is very beneficial and positive and has beneficial effects to the body and can help with sleep. And there are, I didn't know this, but things that you can put on your bed that literally, like a mattress cover or something, that literally plug into the wall, and then that connects to some sort of a wire that has like a stake that goes in the ground outside, so it's literally in the earth. Like my brain melted. I had no clue that this was a thing. So I read a little bit about it this morning. That's all that I know. I'm sure the same things that if you just Google it, you could read as well. Um, from what I understand, again, I only know enough to be dangerous. It seems like the groups of people that they have done some research with on this are relatively small sample sizes. So take that for what it's worth. Now, those sample sizes seem to report benefit with regards to their sleep and whatnot. So I don't know. I guess that's the shortest answer. And I don't know if these things are expensive or inexpensive, or do they come with like a 90-day money back guarantee? Because sometimes the proof's in the pudding, right? Whether it's real or even a placebo effect. If you get this thing, you use it, you plug it in, and you know how you've been sleeping, and you suddenly start sleeping way better, whether it's real or whether it's a placebo, it's working. And so that might be the best way to figure it out. But it's fascinating. So if you do that, keep us posted. I'm very fascinated by that. Let's see. Nick, I saw your post here again, asking about Lane. Thank you. And Nick's wife is a nurse and was understood the condition that Lane had going on with her intestines, and said that it could have killed her if we had not responded and taken her to the hospital. So, yeah, there was some rugged times in the Sherwood household over the last 10 days, I would say. And that's life, right? Some days you think you're going to get good sleep and you're going to crush this workout tomorrow and all this stuff. And then you're in the emergency room with your daughter, 2.5-year-old daughter, till 11 p.m., 2 nights in a row. And that affects the intensity at which you work out the next day, or it affects your priorities. I'll go ahead and say that. So that's it. That's the Ask Me Anything, everybody. Hope that you enjoyed it. The questions are awesome. I'm genuinely impressed every week by the Lynchpin community. Your baseline of knowledge, you ask smart questions. You don't ask silly questions. The ones that move the needle forward. You really care. You get it. I know that I'm biased, but the Lynchpin community has the highest level of strength and conditioning IQ out there, period, end of story. So that's it. Have a great day, and we will talk later.